What I've always feared would happen finally happened in NASCAR. I just finished watching the summer Daytona race, the Coke Zero Sugar 400, and boy, it's a mix of emotions here. On the one hand, stages 1 and 2 were honestly great racing in my opinion. Lots of passing. It seemed like the whole rain delay move to the next day really messed up like the car setups. It was extremely hard to drive the cars, like everyone was saying that. It was really loose, hard to handle, tires really came into effect, and I really think the race would have been amazing if Stage 3 had turned out better. But lightning and rain came in, and it was just a mess after that. So essentially, Joey Logano won Stage 1 in like a fairly uneventful first stage. I think that was when Stenhouse and Kurt Busch wrecked, sort of, but Stenhouse basically just spun, and his car was really fast. He was able to get back up into the lead, so it was pretty minor. There's a couple little incidents. Cars really, really loose and didn't handle well because of the messed up setups and different track, hot surface, So it was pretty entertaining to watch the first stage, and then the second stage was a little bit more crazy, but again, not really anything that big happened. I think the first crash might have happened at the end of Stage 2, but I'm pretty sure it happened at the beginning of Stage 3. Austin Dillon won that one. He just had to block. It's basically Ford versus Chevy the entire time, back and forth. Chevy was on the bottom, Ford was on the outside, and all the manufacturers had these really detailed alliances they had planned out. So it was basically really cool to see Chevy versus Ford just battling it out. And of course, Toyota only has Joe Gibbs, so they didn't really have enough cars to get in the mix, but they were just filtered in there. Toyota did not do good today, but I'll get into the finishing order later. But then after Stage 2 happened, things were just so complicated. Alright guys, so let's talk about the actual finish of the race. First off, the finish was about 2 days long, give or take about 8 days. In Stage 3, there's a massive crash, 30 cars probably involved. And the only leaders that got through were Jimmy Johnson and William Byron and Kurt Busch. Okay, those were the only leaders that got through unscathed. And of course, I was rooting for my boy Jimmy Jam here. Here's my prediction last week, twin, as you guys know. And then they were about to restart after the whole cleanup process happened. So Jimmy Johnson, William Byron, and Kurt Busch were the only leaders left, and then a bunch of mediocre cars, and then all the back markers that survived. And then the rain came, but something really controversial happened because of the rain. NASCAR, after they did the crash, they were like, oh, lightning's pretty near, but we're going to go green flag. We're going to go green next time around. And so the leaders, a lot of the front drivers, such as Kurt Busch, pitted. But then others, Justin Haley, we'll get to him later, stayed out. And then when they were coming around to take the green flag, NASCAR called lightning. And so basically, they made a mistake. They screwed up bad. They said they were going to go green, but then they put it under red flag. And so that cost Kurt Busch the race. And this is going to be one of the most controversial finishes in NASCAR history for 2 reasons. That's the first one. Kurt Busch should have won this race if NASCAR did their calls right. And then we were left to play the waiting game. Justin Haley, and then William Byron, and then Jimmy Johnson, and then all the back markers and mediocre cars were lined up behind them that survived the crash, just sitting on pit road with the car covers on. And of course, Justin Haley had his unsponsored, just generic Walmart car cover because it's freaking Spire Motorsports in the 77 car. They don't have enough money to race in every race. Justin Haley's driving their car. And then we have the second reason NASCAR screwed up. They made us wait 2.5 hours in our basements waiting for them to resume the race. And then they ended up calling it anyways. There's lights at Daytona. We were supposed to race at the last night. But then they just said, screw it. We've been here too long. Let's just leave. I'm tired. And so they made us sit down for 2 hours waiting for them to restart the race, and then they never did. So that was just so disappointing. They could have just, if they were willing to let it go for 2.5 hours, they should have just gone all in, just said, let's make it a night race, just like we were supposed to have. And I guarantee it would have been a great finish still. We would have been able to actually see a good car win the race, like Jimmy Johnson or William Byron or Kurt Busch or someone else. But NASCAR decided they were going to drag it out for 2.5 hours and then just cancel it anyways. Which, I don't know, it's just annoying. But that meant that Justin Haley got the victory. I realize I'm sounding like I'm mad that Justin Haley won. And on one hand I am, but on the other hand, I'm not. And I don't know which hand it is. It could be right or left, but I don't care. Because the thing is, Justin Haley, yes, he won the race. It's amazing for him. He should not have won the race. And he won a race. You know how happy he must feel? That's like his second start or third start. But then on the other hand, you realize this one was a complete fluke. By no stretch of the imagination did Justin Haley inspire Motorsports and the number 77 team deserve this one at all. I'm pretty sure they didn't really lead a single lap. For sure not under green, for one. And then for two, they only won because Kurt Busch basically was swindled by NASCAR. And three, they only won because he was like way behind the actual main leader pack when the wreck happened. So Justin Haley did not deserve that win. So I don't know. I feel happy for Justin Haley, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a real win, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't feel like he won the race. It just feels like he got the win, but it doesn't feel like he actually won it. If you know what I mean? Alright, now that we talked about the race itself, let's talk about the finishers and what they got out of this day. So, here we are. Justin Haley won the race. Say what you will about that. He's not a full-time driver, so he won't make the playoffs because he's already racing for Xfinity Series points, so it's not that bad. Otherwise, I'd be really mad if he made the playoffs and screwed someone else over. But he's not making the playoffs, so I don't really care, honestly. It's kind of cool, I guess. William Byron finishing in second. Good day for him. And Jimmy Johnson in third. I mean, those two undoubtedly would have been racing for the win at the end if they would have gone back green, which they were so close to doing so many times. And then Ty Dillon in fourth, best ever career finish. You'll hear that phrase, best ever career finish, a lot on this list. Ryan Newman in fifth, the top five. Corey LaJoie in sixth, another best ever finish. Eric Almirola in seventh, decent, got through the wreck. Matty Benedetto eighth, that's like a lot of good runs in a row for him. Matt Tifft in ninth, another best career finish ever. Kurt Busch in 10th, he got screwed out of a win. Landon Castle in 11th, probably best finish ever. It's Landon Castle. J.J. Yeley in 12th. Michael McDowell in 13th. Kyle Busch in 14th. I never heard about Kyle Busch all day. I assume he had some issues, though. Darrell Wallace Jr. in 15th. He was playing football again during the rain delay. Then we have Paul Menard in 16th. Okay, I guess. Chris Buescher, Daniel Hemrick. Brendan Gaughan, one of those, restrictor plate ringers, I guess. Brendan Gaughan, all right, finish, I guess, top 20. Kyle Larson in 20th. He got through that wreck. I really don't know what happened to him, though. Alex Bowman in 21st. I think all these guys on back were involved in that wreck and had damage. Alex Bowman in 21st. Martin Truex Jr., Eric Jones, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I mean, he spun through the grass instead of wrecking everyone else. Ricky Reckhouse got spun by Kurt Busch in like stage 1 or 2. He went through the grass backwards, so his car didn't get torn up. So I guess top 25, not good. It's Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, all involved in wrecks again. We have Joey Gase, all the back markers here, BJ McLeod, and then Kevin Harvick finishing 29th. Again, had lots of damage. Ross Chastain bringing it home in 30th. He won the Xfinity Series race on Friday night. Oh my gosh, he's a legend. He won the Xfinity Series race after ditching their points thing. He could make the playoffs in both series. Parker Kligerman, 31st. Ryan Preece, Austin Dillon, more wrecked guys. Clint Boyer, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Quinn Hoof, David Reagan, Brad Keselowski, and Daniel Suarez. So again, lots of big names had bad points days if they hadn't already gotten a win. So the playoff picture is a bit shaken up. So actually, I'm going to go check out that real quick, and I'll tell you guys about the bubble. So there's currently 31 full-time teams in the top series. And then there's Justin Haley, who has a win. But since he's not competing for points, he's not an impact at all. So we have 31 drivers, and then we usually start the bubble at around 20th, which makes sense. So Paul Menard, Ricky Stenhouse, Eric Jones, and Daniel Suarez are on the outside looking in. And Daniel Suarez is only 3 points behind Ryan Newman, That's right, Ryan Newman in the RCR number 6 cars in the playoffs. And then there's Clint Boyer in 15th, who is only 4 points ahead of Daniel Suarez. And then Kyle Larson, who's a lot higher than that. So I'd say Clint Boyer and Ryan Newman are like right there. So if they finish like 2 spots worse than Suarez or Jones or anybody, they're pretty much done. So those 4, Boyer, Newman, Suarez, and Jones, are the main bubble guys. And then if Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, William Byron, or if any of those guys have like DNFs, then they'll probably be right there too. And then after we get past 12th place, William Byron, and 13th place, Jimmy Johnson, who are right there, and Kyle Larson in 14th. Ryan Blaney, Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch, and Kevin Harvick are all safe. And the drivers with wins are Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, and Joey Logano. So it's actually not that shaken up, but really the 4 guys to watch: Clint Boyer, Ryan Newman, Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones. I think the rest of the field's pretty much set, but those 2, 15th and 16th, are really going to be competitive, I think. Now, I think that about wraps up this episode of Race Review for the Summer Daytona race. But, I don't really have any takeaways or anything because, it's a restrictor plate track. I guess not anymore, but I'm going to keep calling it that because that's what I'm used to, So, it's a restrictor plate track. And, it's like 50% luck and then like 25% how good your car is at restrictor plates, then 25% just driver skill. I guess the playoff bubble is a little bit messed up, but that's about it. This race is alright, I guess. It was really ruined by all the rain delays and the fact that it's kind of a fluke winner. But I think if we could have seen that finish of the race, I think it would have been awesome to see a finish to that race because it was shaping up to be really good, If I had to give a prediction for next week, so we're going to Kentucky next week. Kurt Busch, I don't know. He'll get vengeance, I guess. He's been alright at the 1.5 miles, really consistent. I think he'll get his victory that he deserved this week. It's going to wrap it up, guys. See you next week. Bye.